Simon & Schuster AudioWorks presents Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Hope I wasn't too pushy. I just know you're gonna, in like an hour and a bit, you were gonna do some games with those guys. So.
Yeah, were you jealous?
No, you'll be jealous after you hear this, though. I've got an incredible new idea. So when you do this is a brand new idea for a TV show. Okay, it's almost game show like show reality TV show mix. Okay,
So
this is gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, in court proceedings, when you're like suing somebody or you have a lawsuit or something, there's the discovery phase, right?
Yeah.
So they go through all your messages and your phone and your hard drives and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just the gathering of the evidence, right?
Yeah. So the mixture is sort of like Judge Judy-esque, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have people they're gonna go into court, and it's a show about the discovery phase.
Yeah.
And it's called Check Those Hard Drives.
Oh no, I don't like
That's
this.
like you chant that, you get the audience all hyped up. You have contestants.
Mm-hmm.
Two people plead their case, and then contestants sort of they weigh in. They go, I don't know. I think he's telling the truth. Oh, I think they're telling the truth. They put points in. They gamble on who they think is right, and then you get the audience going, check those hard drives.
Yeah.
And then they bring up whatever. They get an IT specialist in. He goes in every nook and cranny.
Data recovery guy. Yeah.
Brings it all up. Brings up all the messages. They go through them, and whoever loses, whoever wins, the people that bet on them, they get the points.
So what happens if they find that like someone deleted stuff? Is that like that's why you have the data recovery guy in there?
That's why you have a specialist. You have a specialist there. Yeah.
What if it's in the cloud and they can't access?
That could be a part of it. They got to try and get into the cloud.
Check those hard drives, and
that's
then
what they say. You get the audience.
They shred
those hard drives.
Of course, they don't have actual hard drives anymore, right? We don't really use that like old.
There will be some hard drives.
They bring in like a hard drive, like mock hard drive. You got blue hard drive, red hard drive for one team, and then
there's always a bit of
one.
There's always a bit of show you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And they're wearing protective equipment.
Halfway through. If somebody realizes they've bet on the losing horse, they can spend some of their points to bring out the magnet.
And they can erase information.
Yeah, they get to bring out the electric magnet.
I like the idea that it's like they don't get to even pick the information; they just get to wave it. Get free waves, and it's like random.
Because that's the thing. You might also be removing the stuff that proves innocence.
Exactly. It's
a
gamble.
Careful.
It's a gamble.
Yeah. That's why. So you might end up spending more of your points, and then, oops, I've actually fucked my guy over.
Mm-hmm. So it's
the main draw though, and it's going to be on T-shirts, mugs, everything. Is the catchphrase? Check those hard drives.
I feel like the biggest this idea came really from the name. Did you come up with the name first, and then you tried to come up with the?
I saw I saw some shit. I was on Twitter and I saw some shit. I saw a screen cap of somebody on TikTok actually.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Of course.
And it was somebody's. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's not. I don't want to talk. It wasn't nice either way. It was the kind of thing where it's like it's the kind of thing you see it, and in your mind you go check those hard drives. Check this guy's hard drives. Check this guy's shit because there's some. No mind thinks of this without some prior horrors.
Yeah, that's true.
And that made me think, what if that was a chant, What if that was like a game show? Because I was playing Deltarune Chapter 3, and there's a bit of a catchphrase in that, And it got me thinking about, like, the chant. the chanting catchphrase you do with an audience.
The mix of
Check
media that has created
everything comes together. We're a sum of
together.
all of our experiences.
Yeah, it's a big blender, a big blender that you throw in a hard drive at the end of the show to blend it up as a sign of losing for the team, I guess, maybe. So it's like
that becomes evidence.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
The team, the one that doesn't have any information, any useful information on it, that could be destroyed or whatever. But it's the one that proves guilt. That's the one that is like, well, that one needs to go. That's admitted into evidence now.
I like the idea that like that you don't get to examine the entire thing. You just get the directory structure, right? And they're like, which folder do you want to open? You have to bet on the folder. Like, you have to pay to open a particular...
The enemy team, so you've bet on... You got guy A and you got guy B. Okay? Contestants have bet on which one they think is innocent.
Yeah.
And then as they're going through the hard drive, they can, like, put up extra points. Like, 10 points, go in that folder there. Scrub that folder.
Yeah,
have a look inside. They go through it.
Or the other team
bring up an image, a picture of a person committing the
crime. Yeah, the felony. Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, yeah, we got him.
Exactly. Then you're like, you see, it's a guy in his 50s or something or 40s, and you see on a desktop a directory called homework, and you're like,
because that's what it would be. That would be part of the fun. Is that you see these innocuous things and you're looking, and people are looking at it, they're thinking, why in the photos folder would there be another folder called schoolwork?
Exactly.
This doesn't make any, this is a little suspicious.
You gotta
check those hard drives.
Yeah. Do you think the mascot is a big hard drive with eyes and like legs? And
no, it doesn't need a mascot. It doesn't need a mascot.
No,
it's not. I feel like it's not that gimmicky. It's not that gimmicky. We're not in the 80s,
I feel like we can provide an extra job, in during the production to someone.
You don't understand anything about television production. These budgets and schedules are tight. We've already got the merchandisable catchphrase. We don't need like a guy as well.
But then it will be interesting because probably the guy that wears the costume is going to be on the show later, and it will be ironic. And
it's be like, one or the other.
Check that hard drives. Hard drive. That's the thing. Then changes.
That would be an issue. That's like bad press for the show. If you have to check the hard drives of the guy on the show,
that's a hard drive. Yeah,
that's not a good sign. That's a bad sign. You got one or the other.
I like
you're marketing with one or the other. You're marketing with the catchphrase, or you're marketing with a mascot.
I like
catchphrase. Like the game show catchphrase ironically didn't have a catchphrase, but they did have a mascot. So they marketed with the mascot.
It would be, I think, pretty good. I think a pretty good Twitter account could be created for the show, where you go, like, you respond to people and go, like, check his hard drive, and it will be like some sus guy,
Yeah, it's like the account is check those hard drives official. And then exactly. You don't even do the catchphrase or anything. You just be like, you put like a smirking emoji as a reply to somebody posting some suspicious stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
everybody knows.
Like, if you're seeing this tweet, you know why we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know why we're here on this guy's post. You know what we're implying just by being here.
I like the idea. It's like if you do the first episode, it's like so boring. Like there's nothing. There's like nothing on the hard drives.
We'll go through messages, not just hard drives. That's just for the catch for this. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. That's the like hook. But there'll be messages, text messages, Facebook messages, phone calls.
That's all like more stuff. Check that data, but whatever.
Well, all right, but that doesn't sound as good.
Saying, I know. I'm just being peckish.
Being pedantic.
Pedantic, yeah. I'm just saying that what people might be saying if they see this. It's
a game show. People will say that shit about game shows all the time, but they still watch them because it's fun.
Exactly.
It's good TV.
Then you do an interview at the end with somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, the whoever's guilty. Well, like, guilty. Why did you really think nobody was going to look in the Christmas photos folder.
Yeah. Or the,
You really think that was going to be inconspicuous enough?
or the police just jumps them immediately.
Yeah. you go like, you know, what were you thinking hiding the doctored tax returns in a folder called porn?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, well, I just thought if it was called porn, it would be so direct, people would overlook it.
It's so obvious, you know.
They
it's
wouldn't
so
want to
obvious.
waste their points on the porn folder because they already know what's in there, you know.
That's true.
But
nobody does.
I underestimated them.
What if someone
They do
what if someone has a directory structure, which is you go into a homework folder and then it has 10 folders of 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you have to type in a password. You have to go for a chain of numbers.
It'd be interesting. That's where the IT specialist, maybe you spend
exactly.
points to get the IT specialist to like crack it.
So you just look at the size of the directory because one of them.
Because how does
actually
that? This would be the informative part of the show. The educational element is that you would learn how they actually do stuff on Discovery.
Here's
Because
how
I'm thinking about it now, and it's like, what do they do when they get to a folder that has a password?
Yeah, exactly.
What do? They have to crack it in some way, right? It's not like they can torture the password out of you, or just leave it. They got to be able to get in there somehow.
You signed like an NDA or something. I don't know an NDA, but you know some user agreement to join the show. You know, where you have to provide the passwords or something, or you have to pay for them. I don't know.
No, I think having an educational element is always good.
That's good.
There's always needs to be a sort of informative element to game shows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Price is Right, Pointless, you know.
Yeah.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Countdown.
Exactly. There has to be there's always a learning element to them that makes you think. And for this one, it's learning about the discovery process.
Family Feud. And it's I would imagine a lot of people would be like, you know, in Family Feud, when people like play that, like people go like, what are you thinking? Like immediately, like picking that. Like, you know, there's like always that.
Yeah, the great clips of Steve Harvey where he's like, name something that's long and has 2 spheres attached to it. And somebody presses the button, they go, penis. And he's like, whoa!
Yeah, Vengus. Yeah.
Did you just say Pete? And then he has to look at the board and go, show me penis.
Yeah, exactly. And it's on the board.
It's a great clip. And it's number one. There's only one thing on the whole board because it's the only thing people said.
Exactly.
100 right there.
But yeah, you sit there with your family and it's like, go into the porn folder.
Yeah,
I bet you have something in
exactly. You would be sitting there with your family and your dad would be screaming like, not that folder, the other one.
The other one,
you're
that's
stupid.
useless. You're wasting your points, you know.
You're fucking throwing your points away. Check those TXT files.
Yeah,
check
exactly.
them.
Exactly, you know. Where they have like a pirated game. You're like, well, still counts as a felony, and they get locked up. But yeah,
I think it's got legs.
It's got legs. I feel like
Check
it
those
will be hard to produce, but you can pull it off if you have enough
Well,
budget.
this would be the issue, is that like you can't bring actual people. You'd have to do a bit of a, you know, it's all kayfabe. You got to have some fake people on there.
Yeah.
Fake issues, fake cases.
Yeah, and also you know, creative editing, of course, of like making people seem a lot worse than they are. You know.
Yeah. Making choices seem a lot more tense than they actually were. You know, a lot of reaction shots. I could really imagine you having like a classic Price is Right, bringing the audience on as well. I think it would work.
You could have like different boosts.
It just works, I think.
You can have like boosts or something that you can like call in to the opponent's family and ask them about details about them or something like that.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be insane, right? Something like that.
There's
a lot of stuff you could
do. What's it called when you have like a character witness? There you go.
Yeah.
Do character witness as like everybody gets one character witness each episode. You call it in. It's like phone a friend, but you're phoning their friend.
It's like cross-examination, you know, in Phoenix Wright, you know. You just like ask him questions, they go, objection, you know. But
it would be crazy because you'd have like Oh yeah, you can bring up a video. Oh yeah, this guy was my best friend. He saw through thick and thin with me, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well that was a pretty good character witness, you know, character testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that guy? Oh, him? He robbed a bank with him.
Ooh,
And they spent
yeah.
2 years in jail. And you're like, fuck. He's less trustworthy now.
Yeah, exactly, you know?
Because of the context. I think it's got legs. And
but
can you
then-
imagine
but-
picture a t-shirt that says check those hard drives on it, dude.
I can imagine. I'm just
With
saying
a
that, like,
big logo, you know?
in that situation, then you have, but what you can do then to counter that is like you find some evidence where a guy slept with his girlfriend on the hard drive, and you're like, well, what do you
yeah.
think? And now you've turned the character witness
Exactly.
against him.
Exactly.
You know? So it's very
Exactly.
strategic game.
You find the weird porn folder.
Probably ruins lives. Honestly, at the end of it.
That's fine. That's fine. They
That's
get
fine.
paid,
They
don't
signed
worry.
up for it. Yeah,
They get
they
paid.
signed up for
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Well, that bit would have to be fake. You know?
That's awesome.
That's like storage wars sort of thing. You know, where all the shit in the storage locker. And
Yeah,
storage
it's all
wars is
fake.
put there. that would be that aspect of it where it's like, well, in reality, it's like it's all set
it's
up.
just fake. It's all
But
fake,
the people
unfortunately.
the contestants doing the discovery process are real.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's
It's
true.
like a escape room in a way. You know,
It can, yeah, sure.
a little
Yeah, I
bit.
get
You
that.
know,
I get
whatever,
that.
something like that. I don't know.
I think it's got seasons of potential.
Seasons of potential. I think it
Yeah,
would be pretty difficult to write for, honestly. But whatever.
No, because this is who you get. You don't get game show writers. You get reality TV writers.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
You get
right.
like Real Housewife writers
Mhm.
because what you want to show off is like the slow burn of discovering the intimate details of somebody else and their interpersonal relationship
Yeah.
as a court case. They're
Yeah.
performing discovery upon each other.
It would be
Check
great.
those hard drives.
Check those hard drives. Now,
This is copyright Ben of Dead Ensigns. Do
Yeah,
not steal this
it's true.
idea. I will come for you. I will come for you, and they'll be checking your hard drives.
And they're gonna, yeah. And then someone makes a show called Check Your Data, which I mentioned before, and they change enough details when they get away with it.
It doesn't have the right ring. It doesn't have
I
the
know,
right. I
I
can't
know.
picture it. Can
But they have
you
to say-
imagine a T-shirt that says "Check your data"? People would be like, "Huh?"
People think it's like, what? Is this
What
like
data?
a new mobile, internet thing or something? And it's like, oh,
Is this like a thing like they're trying to control the internet again? Like it's 2013 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They trying to pass one of those bills. I have to check my. Hold on, wait. Check my data. Thanks. Let me. Oh yeah, my data was on. Let me turn that off
Check
on my phone.
Your
Thanks.
CDs. Check
Doesn't make any-
your
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
VHS tapes. Check
But-
your floppy disks.
Check those hard drives. People are like, "Oh, I get it. Yeah. You gotta check them.
That's
you don't know
true.
what's gonna be in
Yeah.
there. You gotta be careful."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
copyright Ben of Dead Ensigns, which is this show. I'm Ben. This is Max.
Yeah, that's me.
We love media.
Who doesn't? And it's stored around. A lot of it is stored on hard drives as of recently. You could imagine, right?
Yeah. Lots of
Check
them.
those hard drives, and it's just a
Too
whole
many, really.
bunch of seasons of House MD or something like that.
See, that
What
would.
does this tell me?
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the case is like this one guy is suing the other person for like malpractice.
Mm-hmm.
They're in like, hold up, he's got every episode of House MD. Maybe he was doing malpractice if he's modeling his life after House MD because he was doing some fucked up shit in that
The guy is
hospital.
like trying to hide the cane that he was pretending that he needed, and
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's got legs. Check those hard drives. I'm going to open a Kickstarter for the first episode. We're shopping it around. Check those hard drives.
Yeah, well, check those hard drives. Well,
Yep.
anyway,
How's your
what have
week?
we done? We've done stuff. We watched stuff. New
We have.
stuff as of recently. New stuff, pretty
One
recent.
brand new thing. One pretty new thing.
And one
Not
very
too
old
new.
thing that I watched.
And
specifically.
something borrowed and something blue as well.
But
On top
anyway,
of that.
do we wanna start talking about the first thing, the big release of the last week first initially?
Well, we did talk about it last week, so I suppose that makes most sense. 28 years later.
Yeah,
If you're
that's
listening
true.
to this and you're worried about spoilers,
Evacuate yourself.
well, I guess you just have to kind of turn it off because I don't
Yeah.
know why. It's not like I can give a timestamp.
Yeah. I could edit it in, but I bet I can't. I don't know if I care that much.
I don't
Just
know
go
if
watch
you
it.
could, yeah, just go watch the movie. We'll do a quick review pre-spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the movie.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoyed the movie too.
I thought it was fantastic.
It's
And
nice.
a great return for both Alex
True.
Garland and Danny Boyle. So
Yeah.
I was, I'm positive on Civil War, but I don't think it's a great movie.
Yeah, true. Yeah, of course.
And
yeah.
we all know what Danny Boyle did with
We
Yesterday.
made an entire episode about it.
The less said about that, the better.
It's insane to think about that movie was also directed by him.
Because he's made lots of good movies before that, obviously. So I was always willing to give him the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
and say, well, you never know with that one. There's always one or two that it's just like you just can't help it, like Sunshine.
That's true.
Another
yeah.
Danny Boyle, Alex Garland film, but yeah, Yesterday was just so bad that it really makes you go like, what were they doing with this one? This is a rough one, but it doesn't matter. We don't need to keep harping on it
Yeah. It's PTSD.
because now we got 28 years later.
Yeah.
Set
And
28 years after the release date of the original.
yes, right?
Incredible stuff.
Or was it
Yes.
28 years after before the
first
28
movie.
days?
This first 28. So you had days, and
Yeah.
you had weeks, and we skipped
Yeah.
months, and now we've got
It's
years.
good months, yeah. What I'm
The
saying is
calendar
like,
series, as we
is the
coined last week.
28 years happening after the 28 days and the 28 weeks, or is it from the initial date? Of the
I think it's
infection?
from the initial. I think it's from the initial date. I would say.
I think so too, yeah. But yeah, what can I'm just trying to pace myself and not talk about spoilers because I want to. I'm like trying to like. I really want to jump into talking about the movie, but yeah, if you, it's like I guess generally, more generically talking about this movie, it's more experimental and kind of weird than I was expecting from a movie.
it's very
kind of,
it's very in line with 28 Days Later in that
Yeah.
way. It's edited very frantically.
Exactly, yeah.
Interestingly, it feels it feels like that first movie at the end of the day.
Exactly,
in terms of its structure and its shooting style, and I think even to the point that the original was the original film was shot on like DV cameras,
Yes.
all
Yeah.
on like handheld digital cameras of the era. This is all shot on iPhone 15s, which are expensive still, but you could say is like an equivalent to that, Nobody is running around with a digital video camera anymore. They're running around with
absolutely.
a phone camera. The most modern type of phone camera you can get, basically.
Of course, they had some lenses and cases that
Yeah,
enclosed
yeah.
the phone to make it,
They also had that crazy
to
thing where
manipulate
they
the
had
image.
20 iPhone 15s in a rig, and then they would circle around something when it
Yeah.
died. They go, and then
they have a
revolve
literal rig that they would run with. That was a half
Mm-hmm.
moon, like a half circle of iPhones. That allowed them to do literally the same exact the bullet time method, which is the Matrix shooting method of synchronizing multiple cameras together to be able to move the camera in a very kind of smooth way around the subject in the center, right? And yeah, I could imagine that it was probably a lot cheaper to do that with phones than if you wanted to do it with
I mean, it certainly saves
actual
on space.
cameras. Exactly. And of course, on top of that, they were running with it. Like there's literal pictures of them running with the rig, like, handlers like on both sides running, carrying this rig of phones, which is really interesting. I like, that's the cool thing about like, the technology that we have nowadays is that like, yeah, you can take take the camera and just kind of put it in places, right? Like it does seem like a lot of movies kind of forget about that fact that we can actually, move the camera a lot more than just shoot it like you would shoot a soundstage in the 1920s, you can, the cameras aren't that big and they're a lot easier to set up, than they were. And especially like even looking back at 28 Days Later, that Danny Boyle literally said that one of the reasons that they were even able to shoot all the scenes in London and stuff, that because they were able to set up so quickly with the digital cameras.
Exactly. Crack of dawn, they go out there, set up, film, chuck a couple newspapers on the ground, and have Cillian Murphy wander around going, "What the fuck's going on?
What's going on?
Huh?
Hello?
Where is everybody? Where is everybody?
Where is everybody? I'm just gonna eat some. I'm gonna drink some Pepsi.
I guess I'll drink a Fanta.
Iron brew, a tango.
I'll have an iron brew and a tango and a Fanta, please, and a Pepsi.
What else? What's another British drink?
There was a tang, not tang. Oh, fuck, what is it?
What, fruit shoot? A fruit shoot? You could have a fruit shoot.
A Tizer.
Okay, I never heard of a Tizer.
Like a red. Well, am I getting that name right? Hold on. Hold on.
It's important.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It is important.
Yeah, Tizer. Red Tizer.
Okay, nice.
And these ones, I remember them because their marketing in that era was always it was a big red head, a red Tizer.
Oh shit!
And that's in the era of 28 Days Later as well.
I love that. What do we want as our mascot for our brand? An old man.
It wasn't just the old man.
Yeah. What about orbs? Remember that drink that had like the
no, that was too
bubbles
American
in it? Is it American? I don't know. I feel like, yeah, whatever. The mix of culture is for me is fucked up.
I like Tizer.
Well, it's gone.
It is. No, it's still around. They just
is it?
The
oh well, okay.
Yeah, they just changed the label and stuff. The marketing. Anyway, yeah, and it similar to the first film, it goes to show that the one of the biggest hurdles for making a movie at the end of the day is experience, and to get that, you just got to go out there and do it. You can make something on your phone if you want. It's totally fine. Like there's obviously like actors and everything and lighting and everything but I mean, you look at this film and similar to the old film, you can tell it is iPhone cameras.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of artifacts, especially in the dark.
Yeah, the iPhone cameras look very good nowadays. Like the film still looks really nice. Looks way better than a DV recorder fucking 20 years ago or whatever. But you can still tell that it's like this isn't shot with studio cameras. This is shot on iPhones, and it looks it. But it doesn't not to say it takes away from it. It adds to that. Same with the original. It adds to that feeling of feeling current and something that you can connect to in that way.
Yeah, and especially if you have an idea and a good concept and a well written concept and just like you said, experience into actually putting it forward. Yeah, the fidelity of the thing that you're making is it really that important in the end? Like if it definitely overall comes together into a great whole, so it is a little bit like shit, like
all you need
go out there and make stuff,
Yeah, if you've got an iPhone and a dream, then you can go and make a film. All you need is lead actors and extras and locations, and
Cillian Murphy as your executive producer.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy is an executive producer, hot off of
The
an
presses
Oscar-nominated film.
is Oppenheimer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Alex
a
Garland
couple gaffers, get Alex Garland writing it. Yeah. So as long as you've got an iPhone, a dream, and all of those things,
please, Alex Garner, could you write me a
please, Mr.
script?
Garland.
You just like message him, and then get Danny Boyle as your co-director. You're the main director. You me, some random schlub.
You can have a film that looks as good as this and is as good as this.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. It's not that hard. Anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. But, expectations.
Yeah, suffice to say, we'll go into more spoilers of what we loved, because we'll be discussing the ending and stuff, but suffice it to say, we both loved this film, and it's a glowing recommendation. It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Go out and see it in the cinemas. Only in cinemas. They mention that always in all
Only in cinemas. That's because you remember a year into COVID, they were like, fuck theaters, we're putting everything online now, right?
Yeah.
And then they realized that streaming didn't make any money and they weren't getting any sales, so they were like, only in cinemas, everybody.
They had to do before this, before the movie started. When I was watching it, they had one for. Of course, they had an intro for like only in cinemas you can see 28 years later or whatever before they started the actual movie, and also the Superman film, the new Superman film was also like only in cinemas you can experience hope. I was like, okay,
that's true.
That's true, I guess. Maybe.
I had a Fantastic Four one as well. A little Fantastic Four trailer like that as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, I was like, what are you talking about? And I thought you said 4, and I was like, they're making a new 4 film?
Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. Four of them.
I thought there's a fantastic trailer of a 4 movie that way you were saying.
Did you see that 4 trailer? It was fantastic. Holy. Did you see that 4 trailer?
So dumb.
It looks fantastic. You see that Hulk trailer? It's incredible.
Nice, good one.
Yeah, man.
Can't think of another movie.
28 years later.
Yeah. All right, spoilers. Eject yourself from the podcast now.
I was very surprised how little Aaron Taylor Johnson is in the film.
Yeah.
Considering how high billing he is. He's non-existent past the halfway point.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
His son tells him to leave the movie, and he does.
That's true. Well,
he does in fact leave the movie until the very end. This movie was very moving to me. The ending made me cry when he has to say goodbye to his mother.
Yeah,
he can't do anything. Nothing can be done about it,
finality of a disease that was able to just kind of take its toll for a long time. Yeah,
I loved. So this movie's got a lot to say about isolation and or rather not isolation, but like the isolationist communities, and fascist movements and stuff,
definitely.
I saw somebody talking about how it's a lot inspired by the return sort of mindset. And the movie itself, I think Danny Boyle has said is a pretty heavy response to Brexit and the way the world has grown and shaped since then, Britain in particular, and due to the pandemic and everything. And you can see that in the film. You can see that in the film, definitely.
Yeah. Them literally being on a separate island.
It's literally, and it's interesting. I really liked the twist of not necessarily twist, but I liked the point it was making of the way that Community is shown at the beginning is very idyllic, is very beautiful. This
Yeah.
idea, it's very nostalgic feeling. But at the end, the way you see it through the son's experience with his mother's death and stuff, and her having cancer, is that it's like, although everybody's very close and they're celebrating their life together, you know,
Yeah.
there's none of them are able to simply tell him that his mother's dying. You know, it's like an open secret. Everybody can tell. Anybody who has lived before the rage virus took over, people can tell and look at her and go like, she's very clearly dying. Us as the viewers can look at it and go, she's very clearly dying of like some kind of brain tumor. You know,
That's what I was
there's
thinking.
like a cancer affecting her mind, but nobody can tell him. Nobody has the strength to be able to tell him within that community. And at that point, the idea of that community all falls apart. It becomes kind of poison.
It's
doesn't it? 'Cause
like,
people can't just have the bare humanity to address the death that's happening. You know?
like they literally are able to, or, you know, a simplistic way of like just moving forward, like, you know, keep your head forward, and they're not able to like literally address like a part of life, which is death, like literally oncoming death, you know.
They're
like
living...
she says, like, I think at the end she says, I asked them, could they do it, you know? I don't think she asked anybody, but she was hoping somebody else would, someone
because
else
she
else
didn't
would.
One, she's very confused, and two, she just didn't have the strength to tell her own.
She's fighting her own battle, basically, with the disease, you know. So
she was
it's not
hoping just anybody would just be able to talk to him about it, but nobody can. Not even his own dad. His dad can't even do it.
Yeah, like
he asks him, like, "Do you know what's happening to her? You know what's wrong with her?" And he's just like, "I've got no idea."
Yeah.
He's like, "Is she dying?" And he's like,
Yeah, and she is kind of treated like a burden. Basically, you kind of get that dynamic from the beginning of like the guy, the father is like, you know, I have to deal with this, you know, like sort of thing. You know, it is insane to kind of look at that in comparison to his eagerness to go into a deadly land that can kill you, you know, and his just reluctance in dealing with the love of his life, you know, that his wife, you know, it's insane, you know.
It's like there's honor out there, you know. They live very boisterous and grandiose.
There is
existences, because he go out there and he's taking his son out. Aaron Taylor Johnson is taking his son out too early as well, because again he's trying to age him up as quickly as possible, so to try and avoid him being too hurt by his mother dying of cancer.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's getting him to kill these zombies, the rage infected. You know, a few years earlier than he should. And then when they go back, the kind of celebration they have, the son feels like completely alienated from him at this point, because he doesn't feel noble about what he's done. He doesn't feel any excitement of it. But his dad is really trying to like build up his confidence and really age him up and make him seem huge to everybody. You know?
In the end, it's very performative, basically, right? It's like that first kill and stuff. It
hides a fear of death.
Yeah, it wasn't about like developing a skill in a way. It was like about like just you just gotta break yourself, you know, and
just becoming colder, just trying to kill.
Don't think about
your
it,
humanity.
You know?
Because the father, as he says with the dialogue, is that he doesn't believe that this is obviously where the counter, the doctor, comes in later, but he doesn't believe that the zombies are people anymore. You know? They aren't people, and they don't have souls, he says. They don't have they can't think, they don't have souls anymore. But then as the movie goes on, we find out it builds on it more. Initially in 28 Days Later, it's just kind of like, well, the zombies, these rage virus people don't even eat. They just kill and run around, and then eventually they die of hunger. But now, 28 years later, we find out they do still have a survival mechanism. They eat. And not only that, but we can see that they reproduce as well somehow.
Yeah,
like they still have that innate desire in their head. So there's still humanity there. And then when the doctor is introduced earlier, and he honors them as though they're people, because the true darkness is like forgetting that they were people in the first place.
Yes.
You get to see how that mindset, that mentality of Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is really cold and hiding his fear of death, his fear of losing it all and becoming something like that.
And it's that's the thing. It's sickness, right? In the end, it's a disease, right? It isn't a like they become like a different thing. Like they're a human that have been infected by something, right? And there is, and that's the kind of, I guess you can consider that like his wife, having going through cancer consuming her body, definitely. It doesn't mean she stops being a human, because
but you can tell for him there is that aspect of it,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like his wife forces him to address that, and he doesn't like it, so he runs away from it, and he tries to bring his son with him.
It gets easier after every kill, basically. Like that's what And there's that. It's so weird. It's such a weird, like the not like weird in a bad way, but it's like interesting of like the montage, like so much montage in this film. Of like you have the footage of like the World War I soldiers, British soldiers, like.
That coupled with the war poetry as well.
Exactly, with the war poetry. And his path, right, of like the young men that went to war during World War I and their kind of breaking of them, in combat in those trenches.
It couples because it shows adult soldiers marching, but it also alongside that shows like children marching soldiers, dressed up in formal wear and stuff like that.
Yeah. But it is very it's such a weird movie. Like that's the thing, like I was very pleasantly surprised watching it at like how experimental, kind of daring it was in its kind of messaging and just the way it looked, and because it's not action all the time, like like 28 weeks later, that movie,
that's heavy on the action.
That
feels
heavy,
like a more generic action film, zombie action film,
Exactly, and this it doesn't mean it doesn't have moments of action. Of course it does, but like
there's a lot of chases.
There's a lot of chases and a lot of the thing. There's a lot of build up, like there's a lot of stuff that happens between those that is very important,
It's a beautiful and emotionally impactful film, but at the same time, there is a giant zombie with his cock out ripping people's heads off.
Exactly,
still attached.
Exactly.
It keeps happening. It's weird. It's crazy.
It's just what else?
There's obviously there's the extra stuff that we didn't talk about. There's the Swedish guy Eric as well. Very good addition of a character there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see an outsider like this. Yeah.
There's some good little, this is sort of fish out of water jokes, I guess, where he's trying to show an iPhone to the kid and he doesn't get it. There's like the great gag where he shows his fiance and she like looks like she's got
a massive amount of filler in her mouth,
makeup and everything. Clearly had a lot of work done, and he's like, "What's wrong with her face?" Really well done jokes. Really good scene. But then, on top of that, you also have the whole narrative of the baby, the humanity that still exists within. You have the doctor, who's a fantastic character.
Yeah,
great performance, great writing. Ralph Fiennes
really elevated. His performance is amazing, basically.
Yep.
In this movie,
but he's got this like really, because you see it in the promotional material, but then to see it in the context of the film is entirely different.
Yeah, it's a really cool build up to him.
Yeah,
they do try to, like, especially with his father again, like. He's trying to instill this fear of outsiders in his son, where he tells him like, I saw this guy. He wants to make him afraid of him, but as soon as he hears that he's a doctor, his son just completely forgets about any sort of like, oh,
The most important part is that he just wants to, because he's got a naive hope that the doctor will have a cure, you know?
yes, exactly.
He believes that the
'Cause-
doctor will be able, because he has no idea, he doesn't know anything about cancer
Yeah.
or anything.
And not
he
only
doesn't know
that, but
this
like,
is not something that can be cured. We couldn't even cure it when Britain was regular in that movie. You know,
that's
when it was
true.
normal.
Another thing is that it's like, even in those times, 28 years later, like I would even imagine that doctors are kind of mythical men, at that point.
Yeah,
They
within
are,
Britain in that point. Yeah.
where these people that heal people, like it's like they have an ability to be able to heal people. It's and him, and like I think there's a line in the movie where they say we hadn't had a physician in like 20 years or something like that. All right, so he never experienced like an actual person with training, so he is a creature of myth to him, a doctor. So he imagines him being able to do insane stuff, right? Like a wizard, even, or a wise man. But yeah, it's there's one of the insane scenes of the birth in this movie. I was like, oh fuck, they're showing it, they're showing all of it.
There's a childbirth. It's very it's very out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have this baby, and the baby's fine. The placenta protects the baby from the virus somehow. We assume, it's
because that's the job of the placenta.
Yeah, exactly. So the baby ends up immune from the virus.
I don't know if does it say if she's immune, but maybe we can assume.
They say, well, not immune. Sorry, immune's the wrong word. I mean, it doesn't pass on through birth.
It doesn't pass on.
I don't mean immune. That was the wrong word. And they save this baby. They save this baby from its. I assume the father is the alpha.
Yeah.
Right.
There's an implication that
I think.
it's seeking it out. I feel later on when he appears again.
The baby back.
Yes. Yeah.
The stuff with the babies will be. It just culminates so beautifully. Like you were saying, visually, it's Alex Garland has written a incredible script for the film. And then Danny Boyle has created a beautiful movie around that as well. You know? Just so experimental and interesting, and it's violent and horrific, but it's also like horribly beautiful and tragic at the same time.
Like
everybody who worked on this film is A+ performance.
The nature, the way they shot nature compared, for example, to the village really kind of gloomy, like the really dark grays, and compared to like the mainland England, where it's the grass and the nature itself is just so bright,
wild flowers and
wild
everything.
Flowers,
the trees that have reclaimed a lot of it.
And it comes back to like there's so many like little comebacks from the first 28, like, so it is worth seeing the original 28 Days Later if you haven't seen it and then see this movie, because they're you don't have to, but they're good pieces, like there's pieces of a whole, but like that guy, the soldiers, when they
just as a quick aside, you don't need to see 28 Weeks Later, though.
You don't need to see
the movie opens with a small crawl basically saying,
funny.
Don't worry about what happened at the end of that last one. They pushed it back.
They pushed it back. It's so funny.
For everybody that saw 28 Weeks Later in preparation for this one, you didn't need to. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have warned you. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say about the soldiers?
There is that the soldier that tries to prevent the things that were happening, the bad things that were going to happen, where he says that like the one that isn't crazy, let's say that he says that like,
you mean Christopher Eccleston's character, or
no, not the main guy, the second in command.
The guy they killed.
They killed, exactly. He says that like humanity was only around for a couple of blinks of an eye, and actually the removal of humanity is when it's normality, right? It's like that's it goes back to that state, and you can see that in the way this we get shown, like it was that image of the like terrace houses overgrown.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, looked at it, I was like, yeah,
It looks really good too.
It looks really nice.
because you see it beforehand as it was, and then you just cut to it now as it is with everything as a tree growing out of it. All of them just have trees growing out of them. A forest has reclaimed this suburb.
There's and then after we got they get the baby, they continue their path, and they actually don't. Alpha finds them, and then we get introduced to the doctor character as he shoots one of the alphas, the alpha that was chasing them with a blow dart, and
he shoots him with like some morphine and stuff.
Yeah, drugs him basically instead of killing the alpha.
Not before he's ripped Eric's head off, by the way.
True. He does take the head
the lead into the memento mori. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It becomes the lead into the memento mori because he strips it down to the skull, and then he gives it to the son to be like, find its place, find Eric's place in the tower of skulls. But no, I mean, it's just so it's the ending is so beautiful. I was crying in the theater.
Yeah, I was struggling to hold it in, but it was really rough to try not to like cry a little at least.
Sad. It's so sad. But as it goes on, it's like it's to live isn't to just like continue living. It's to remember that you have to you'll die, but then also you have to love. You have to hold both of those things in your heart.
Exactly.
To live a human life.
Yeah.
A little emotional thinking about it.
Yeah, and it's just the visual of the bone temple, I guess, if you want to call it that, right? Is so striking, that idea. Because if you see it on its own, right? If you would have seen it on its own, it's such an intimidating, structure. Right?
I mean, the way you're introduced to the Doctor is Aaron Taylor Johnson's character telling the story of like when he first saw him, and he's, we did all of us. We could smell death. We could smell so much death. And we go over this hill, we see this fire coming up, we go over this hill, and there's a bonfire and this doctor, and he's got hundreds of dead bodies lined up all in a row, and he's burning them, and he waved at us, and then we fucked off. It was so scary.
It was so scary.
And I think it's very well foreshadowed because, I don't know about you, but when he explained that story, I, as a viewer, was like, that doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, because he even like waves at, like he noticed them, and like waves at them, and they run away at that point, And
it's like they register this action as insane, but ultimately,
the contrast between the setting and what he's doing,
but really, it's like he's not doing anything insane. He's just trying to like hold on to some level of. He's treating these people, whether they were uninfected or infected, he's treating them as they were, and honoring them as they were people, as they lived as people.
I feel like maybe on top of that, in that case, maybe initially his initial kind of idea was to just clean up the place, like just start removing the corpses and infected corpses, and stuff like that, and moving them to a different place instead of letting them be around places,
I think the implication is that he was always going to build that.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he says, when Spike, the character is a son, Spikey, when he sees it for the first time, Ralph Fiennes talk about it, you're the first person in 13 years I've seen.
Yeah.
And I was hoping I would be able to ask, and I was hoping somebody would see it. And I think the implication is that literally the last people he saw were his dad and his
Jesus
group
Christ.
13 years ago, because Spike is like 12, 13 years old, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I think that's the implication I got, at least, is that was like literally the last time he saw people, So I think he was always supposed to be doing that. But no, either way. What a film! I might go see it again. Honestly, it was really good.
Yeah, I'll probably just watch it at home when it comes onto VOD.
I loved it. But I liked it in this. I thought it was a good cinema experience.
But
personally.
yeah, just like I really loved the scene where you get the examination scene where he examines her, and then you can see the professionalism, like as a healer, as a GP, because he's said to be a GP. He's the general practitioner. He's the
guy
doctor.
that's
He's the first contact, right? Like I guess if people don't know what GP is, and I don't know if I think in America
general
they call
practitioner.
it's the first person you tend to see to then be put somewhere
like
else,
a
right?
local doctor, a family doctor, somebody you go and be like, I've been having a
exactly.
cough recently, and then they're like, well, that doesn't sound very good.
So you can see how professional, like even though it's been fucking 28 years since he probably even done his job, that healing, that he has in his hands is still there,
And it's a very basic test as well, because he doesn't have any
exactly.
equipment. There's obviously lots of equipment that you could use to find out exactly what was wrong with her. But he's already got a strong idea just from a physical exam and a quick talk to be like, this is very clearly just, you're too far gone, basically. And even then, she knows, she already knew that was the case.
Yes, exactly.
She already understood that. And that it's so sad. Because nobody was able to tell Spike. Nobody was able to just tell this kid that his mom was dying. Yeah,
and that scene where he carries the skull onto the top of the highest tower,
facing the sunrise,
it's Jesus Christ,
It's like, really,
it's really insane, it's insane really how squeezes the ice, but and then I was really because I kind of lost track, I feel, a little bit in this movie about because then after all these scenes,
so the epilogue is we got the 28 days later epilogue.
Yeah,
he's taken the baby back to the thing, but he is he's left the baby there and he's gone on his own journey now.
He left a note for his father too.
Yeah, he recognizes that this little isolationist community is not living, right?
Yeah.
Like this isn't, and they're very welcoming. There's a big point they make that it's like, you can come back anytime, but nobody will come looking for you if you don't come
exactly.
back.
Yeah,
you're on your own. It's a very, at the end of the day, you're on your own. You don't really have support at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
So he goes out back into he's gonna wander England, I guess, basically.
England.
And journey around and meet people and just grow. He leaves a letter for his dad, asking him to take care of the baby. I think the follow-up, we're going to see him kind of experience what the son has experienced and kind of learn the error of his ways, I guess, right?
Maybe.
And eventually meet Spike again. I feel like that could be his arc, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, because it will be, there is a lot of the setup. Speaking of the ending, right? I guess to this movie, because I was when it started a little bit, that
the very last 5 minutes of the movie,
when he's in that cavern, in that road, that swirly road, I was like, what is there going to be an hour more of this movie? What's going on? I was like, what's going on here? And he gets chased by a bunch of infected, and let's say that because they're infected, and he takes some of them out, and then turns out he runs out of arrows. He thinks I'm kind of done here. I'm in this hovel where I can't get out of it. We get introduced to a weird character
to Jimmy Savile Teletubby Man.
And it's a callback to the initial scenes from the beginning of the movie where you have the prologue. We have the church, the priest getting infected, and it was his son, right? It's his son that was there, right? And he gets the cross, right, from his father before he gets infected.
Before he willingly goes to them at the end of the day, because he thinks this is
salvation.
The apocalypse. He thinks salvation has come from.
Yeah.
I think that's also the introduction that we're supposed to have to alphas as well. 'Cause
Maybe.
when he gets infected, he kind of runs off and they all start following behind him as though he is a leader still, you know?
That could be true. I don't think of that. Maybe.
Even as a rage virus. I feel like that was supposed to be kind of a little seed just to be like his, you know, from the
That'd be
beginning.
interesting.
There are leaders within their minds.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, we get to see him again. I knew something was coming up because I know, because I don't know if you knew this already, but it's Jack O'Connell from Sinners.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even think of him. I didn't recognize
the
him.
the adult guy that turns up at the end. So I was
But it's him,
because he hadn't turned up for the rest of the film and he knew he was in it. So within that last 5 minutes, I was like, okay, well, he's going to appear here because he hasn't been in the rest of the film, and he's supposed to be in this film. But yeah, he turns up and he's got this crew of like parkour Teletubby ninjas, I guess.
Yeah, like
all wearing like
Power
fucking
Rangers
Uniqlo streetwear.
Yeah. He's like wearing the chains, and he's got like rings on every single like finger on his hand, and it's and they're all calling themselves Jimmys. Like the first name is Jimmy something. I think he's called Jimmy Crystal, like the main Jimmy.
Well, I think literally is supposed to be they're all Savile coded.
Yeah, Jimmy Savile. Yeah. I think
because obviously this is like England has gone through the apocalypse. Nobody knows that. Obviously, people knew before it all came out that Jimmy Savile was a horrible, horrendous.
Yeah, if people don't know who Jimmy Savile is. In
2001, when the apocalypse happened in Britain, that information didn't come out to the general public. So I guess these guys are probably just like, remember, Jim will fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
like
model after him.
I didn't get that association because I didn't grow up in England when I was like a small child, so I didn't see Jimmy Cavill. Jesus, Jimmy Cavill, Henry Cavill, Jimmy Cavill, Jimmy Cavill. But yeah, Jimmy Savile in his programming, I only remember The Thing.
He was even before my time as well, I would say. But it's like, yeah, I mean, he was a household name of England, basically.
Yeah.
Up until like the early aughts. And then
I guess
obviously after he died, all the stuff that came out that he was a
Anyway, so Jimmy Savile, and it's like that his inclusion is it the idea that because they were, I don't know, when they were locked in a house, like hiding away from the infected, they were watching cartoons and shows, and for some reason they were watching Teletubbies, and for some reason they had VHS for Jimmy Savile programming or something.
I don't think it will be as precise as that, because all of those kids that were watching the Teletubbies got eviscerated.
Except for him,
Except for him. He got out, but I'm assuming his cult will be he'll have some kind of strange cult that Spike will have to be a part of, and maybe realize is also a horrible, disgusting, weird thing.
Actually, you might be right. Jesus,
in the next
we'll see.
film.
It's definitely interesting at what will happen.
Yeah, and there's supposed to be a third one.
I feel like honestly, it felt like there was going to be another movie after that. Bone Temple.
Well, it does. Yeah, it does. This movie ends on. This movie, you don't have to. This isn't part of a story. This isn't part one. Although it's the first of a trilogy, you can just... This movie has, like, a beautiful, complete story as is.
Yeah.
But there is going to be another one, and there's a planned third one that they're waiting to see how, I think, this and the next one perform, or at least this one, to see how it does before... Or they're trying to get funding for the third one or something, and it's probably based on how well this movie does, which apparently is pretty well, because it had a budget of 60 million, and its opening... weekend made 60 million. So
all right, let's have a look. Domestic opening worldwide is 60 million, it seems. So if they made their money back now, hopefully they can make even more, and hopefully they'll consider it a success. But yeah,
hopefully we'll get something out, because next year is the Bone Temple. 28 years later, the Bone Temple, and I think they filmed this alongside the first one, It was a bit of a co-production, which is why
Yeah.
it comes out so soon afterwards and didn't need to have like a lot of funding.
Because they got there was
It comes out
like
in
an
January as well. Not even like a whole year.
incident or like controversy when it comes to this movie because people saw pictures of people dressed as Jimmy Savile on the set, and people got
That makes sense.
it's a sore point. People don't like
Yeah.
talking about that. That's one of the reasons why it
It's a
becomes
very
a little like
dark
iffy.
part
Uh,
of British history in general, I think. To be
exactly.
honest. As a whole, like obviously that sounds in the grand scheme of all of British history.
Yeah, true.
It's fair to say that that's definitely a very specific dark point.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
really bad.
people are like, why are you talking about
Horrid
it? Sort
stuff
of thing, like and also people
Look
are
it up.
like considering the victims and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
another thing. It's like
Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. We'll have to just wait and see how it unfolds in the next film before we
But
cast judgment. I guess
we give 28 thumbs up for this movie.
I give it 28 years out of 28 years is what I give it.
Okay. Well,
Right.
that's positive, I would assume.
I love it's up there for me. One of the I feel like I haven't seen a lot of films that have come out this year. I've been kind of sleeping on it and watching some old shit that I don't need to watch in the first place. But like fucking Final Destination movies and Marvel movies and shit. I don't know why, but I just have. I don't know why.
The craving.
But of what I've seen this year, this is great. This is one of the best for me. Loved it.
Yeah,
Loved it.
for
What a
me too. I really enjoyed this movie and
Definitely go see it.
definitely go and see it. Thumbs up. Anyway,
Thumbs
would you want
way
to talk
up.
Way up on top of a
Thumbs
totem,
as
on
high
top
as
of
they
a,
possibly can be.
on top of a bone totem,
Lift them.
facing
Mm-hmm.
the sunset. Anyway, do you want to talk about anything else, or are we done?
Maybe we'll leave it
'Cause
there 'cause we
it's
talked about this even longer than
Yeah.
I think we were intending to.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about Death Stranding next time? Because I'm not going to have a lot to talk about next week because I'm doing some other stuff,
let's save
we
it
can
for
talk
next
about
week.
Death Stranding next
I
week.
guess if
And then
you're
that gives me
interested.
a chance to read through the logs and stuff as well because I haven't read those.
Okay,
So that'll be handy.
No.
All right.
we'll do that.
28 years later. Check it out. But until then, you've been listening to Dead Ensigns. If you've watched the film and you want to let us know how you think, how you feel, we'll give them a read. We might talk about them. We'll see. You can email us deadensigns@gmail.com if you want to do that. And if you don't want to email, you can comment on our YouTube upload of the podcast. Find it on YouTube, Dead Ensigns. You'll be able to like and subscribe as well while you're there. But if you're not a YouTube listener and you prefer more traditional podcast routes like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon and whatnot, good news, we're on there as well. And you can like and save and comment to your heart's content there as well. So until next week, bye-bye. See ya.
Bye.
Have a good 28. It's the denomination of time that equals 28 to 1 week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and ask yourself, what's on your hard drive? I don't know.
It's shorted out, sir. We're gonna have to phaser it.
Then what are you waiting for?
Right away, sir.
Faster would be better, Ensign.
I can't, sir. We don't want to...
That's enough.
But, sir...
Stand aside, Carlton. I'm going through. You're alive. Good.